Welcome to the MaYapinion Podcast, where two dynamic sisters dive deep into the world of women in entrepreneurship, sharing their own personal journeys, insights, and opinions.
From their wins to challenges, the highs and lows of their personal lives, and the hottest topics shaping our world, we are the fierce and fearless hosts that tackle it all.
Get ready for engaging conversations, inspiring stories, and thought-provoking discussions that celebrate the power and resilience of women.
Now, let's dive into an episode where we empower women entrepreneurs, one opinion at a time.
Welcome back to the MaYapinion Podcast. I'm really excited to be relaunching the show. And it's been a mystery for a while who is going to be my co-host. And I am really excited to announce that it is my sister, Lily. So the MaYapinion Podcast is officially a podcast where we are empowering women one opinion at a time, but we're going to be doing it together. So now I have a co-host, so it's not just me. So welcome, Lily, to the MaYapinion Podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
We're going to continue to have you on the show, but I thought an incredible way to start the show out and really start our co-host journey together would be allowing people to get to know you and your journey because it's completely different than mine.
Yeah.
And most of you guys already know my journey, and we'll be doing another episode on that where Lily gets to flip the script on me and she can ask me whatever she wants. So that'll be coming up next. But today we're going to empower you through our opinions, of course, but Lily's going to be sharing a lot about herself. So without further ado, Lily, tell us a little bit about what you do currently as an entrepreneur, and then we're going to go back in time.
Okay. Well, currently I do a lot of reselling. I try to do mainly luxury and vintage items. I prefer just to do vintage, but right now it's a bigger market to, Lululemon, all those type of, more luxury items. And so I thrift like a lot of people. It's a really big trend now. A lot of people are thrifting. They want to be more, whether it's economical or it's just
green.
I don't know. It's just back in now.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are doing it, and I was already doing it. And I was like, I can make money off of this. And I've always been the type of person where I'm going to work. And I was not working after I had my son, and I was literally going insane. So I thought, I'm pretty good at this, finding deals, so why can't I do it for other people?
Love it. I know. I'm obsessed. You've shopped for me. It's amazing. So we're going to go kind of back in time, how you got into this and your journey. So, of course, you have a love story, too, that I want to talk about on the show. Because we talk about everything here, talk about our personal lives, relationships, but entrepreneurship is really our focus. But I think it's really important to have a supportive partner as well.
Of course, yeah.
Right. Because if you don't have a supportive partner, it's another battle you have to, go through. And you do. And your story, this whole story starts really back in college for you. So do you kind of want to take us back there, and then we'll tell some fun things about our childhood at the end. But do you want to take us back to your story and tell us about, because you were trying to do something totally different in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So take us back to you going to college, because Lily is a decade younger than me. So I think it's really cool to get your perspective because you're earlier in your entrepreneurial journey, but you did it younger. And I think that's just so cool. So you go to college and...
Well, I went to college for liberal arts, and I quickly found out that the school I was at just was not equipped for that type of program. So it was awful. Even though I loved it, I was coming in early and staying late to help other students with their stuff, and it was too much. I was also working full time. So I took a criminal justice class, and I liked it. So I changed my major immediately to criminal justice, which it's still a passion of mine, but it's not creative or anything like that. And that's what I quickly found out after I graduated with my bachelor's in criminal justice, I quickly found out that that was not something I was going
You wanted to dive into the world of.
Yeah.
So I think what's interesting is a lot of people will connect to that story because I personally connect to that. We've talked about that many times. I have a degree in English literature, which most of you guys know, and also creative writing. And I guess it comes in handy now because I talk a lot,
Yeah.
and I write scripts and, work with podcasters. But at the core of it, that wasn't enough for me either. So I really connect with you on that. And I think a lot of people graduate with a major or a degree, and college becomes more of a life experience where you learn to live on your own, take care of yourself. And it's more of an experiential thing than it is necessarily applicable in your life. What's your opinion on that? I mean, you're living it.
Yeah, I think that during my age, well, I'm not that old, but I think, a couple years ago, I think it was a big push. It doesn't matter what you're going to school for, you're going to school. Fortunately, mom was like, you can take a year off. I wanted to get out of the house by any means necessary. So I was like, no, I'm going to college. So I think a lot of people just get pushed into going to school, even if they don't know what they're going to do. And unfortunately, I got pushed by the school and, counselors and everything to declare a major immediately. And so I think that's the biggest downfall. I think if I had not, then I could have experienced all these other things. So yeah, I think it's just because people get pushed in so quickly to go to school. There's a lot more now, I feel like, for kids coming out of high school now. I feel like there's a lot more creative outlets, a lot, even blue collar jobs and all these other, construction. That's a lot more accepted now. 10 years ago, it was either you go to college or not.
I think you bring up a really interesting point in your opinion, of course.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. And if we want to go back a little bit further in time, because someone's 20-year anniversary is coming up, we won't say what it's for. But anyway, no, I think, it's interesting to hear that was still going on 10 years ago, because when I went off to college, and I'm sure a lot of you guys connect with this too, it's been the thing to do. You go to high school, you go to college, you at least get a degree in something, and then you go to work. And you're probably already working.
Yep.
And I think you bring up a really great point about the fact that we're now starting to pull away from that, and we're encouraging what we're talking about here, entrepreneurial ventures, but also following your passions and understanding that you can make money doing what you love.
Yeah.
It's been life-changing for people, and I think it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's such an incredible thing, and I think you also brought up a really good point with the fact that even within the school system, I mean, we all want to leave home and experience college, right? But now we know there's other things to do. Like we can leave home and go do an internship. We can leave home. It's not mandatory to go to college to be a successful woman. Yeah. Or person, but woman, right? Like we talked about here. But I think that is a really key point I want to hone in on your story, because I spent a lot of time trying to chase that and think that was what, what I needed to do. So we connect on that very deeply. But I think it's also sad that at the college level, once you're there, that the counselors, because I went through this too. Yeah. They're like, what are you going to major in? What are you going to major in? I mean, I'm glad I did, but I went in as a political science major to college.
Yeah.
Which
is that's a pretty common what people go in.
Pretty common. I thought I was going to be an attorney. Should we all laugh now? Yes. Okay. So I connect with all of that. I think you guys will connect with what Lily is saying as well. But I think that's the saddest part to me, is that they push you to pick, because do you know what you want to do at 17, 18?
No. Some people, I want to be a doctor. I was 5 years old wearing a medical coat. Okay, that's for you. But for me, I was the type of person growing up that I wanted to be something different every week. So the fact that I went in with a declared major of art, which if I had gone to a liberal arts college, then I obviously would have followed through with that, because it was it's still a passion of mine. But I went to just not a random school, but just a state school. It wasn't a liberal arts school thinking that I'm going to do this amazing liberal arts career, and it was awful. So,
yeah. But you got your degree, which I was always proud of you for doing, because I think it's important if you do start something to finish it. But if you get into it and you're not into it, like, that's just my opinion on it, then you need to get out. But I was proud of you for completing it. But walk us through what happened after you walked out with that very expensive criminal justice degree. What happened next?
Well, I was already working for a company where I was a manager. So I was a full-time manager there, and I was going to school full-time, and I was married. And so I just stayed with the company, and it was a retail company, a retail bridal company, and I just stayed there. I loved working there, mainly not because it was a great job. I liked the people I worked with and my manager, above me. And so it's just funny. I had a criminal justice degree, and I was working retail management, which I was 22, and you don't really see that at 22, a retail manager that young. So, it was kind of like, well, I'm not going to get a job that pays this much in my field. Why would I not just stay here? So I did that. And, I did that until I got the next retail management job.
Yeah. But I think, and again, I come from retail too, so we connect on this. But I think, working in hospitality, retail, working in all these industries, I think is really helpful on your entrepreneurial journey. What is your thought on that or opinion?
Yeah, because you see how they market things, how they, approach their sales, things like that. And a lot of that has helped me with growing my business because, I do tier sales, things like that on holidays. And so I think people that have never worked retail or anything that does stuff like that for holidays or anything with sales, I think it's a little bit harder for them to understand that people look for this. This is the moneymaker.
Yeah. You understand the ecosystem. And I think, you went much more detailed, and I love that, about how it's helped you with business, because I think I'm like thinking about my business. I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, I get that. I totally understand that's helped me too. And I connect with that because what you're doing is not retail. You don't have a retail storefront, but you have a store. Like, you have things that you're doing, which we're going to get to that. But that's interesting. I never really thought about how that kind of led you up to being successful and understanding. And when you talk to me about, oh, it's the season for this, I'm like, oh, but you learned it through doing this. That's why I think there's so much power in working in the hospitality, retail, or whatever, because you're also face to face with customers. So you really know how to handle customers. What's your take on that?
Well, online customers are much worse than in-person customers, which I never thought I would hear myself say that, because people would come return at, these retail locations, and they were awful. And so I'm like, well, I'm glad.
Clear shot. Not talking about her current customers.
No. But then I'd be like, well, I'm really glad you don't shop in our store. You're just online. But, in store, you're face to face with somebody. You can, if they have a question or they're like, why is that price like that? Or, you can address that. But somebody buys something from you online, they address it they give you a 2-star and it's XYZ that you had no control over. So it's a whole nother set of problems when it's online versus.
I think you bring up a really awesome point with that too, because when you're in person, you can connect with them. Yeah, I love your opinion on that, because I feel that way too. But I do think things have evolved since we've been in the stores, definitely since I've been in the stores. But anyway, it's been a hot minute for me. But I think it's evolved because COVID changed things.
Yeah, I've noticed that. They have, anywhere you go, it's really kind of a hands-off approach. Nobody really approaches you. You don't really get any help. And that's definitely not how it was when I was still working retail during COVID and after COVID, and they made us change completely. The retailer I worked at, I was an assistant manager, and it was like somebody walked in the door, you gave them a couple seconds to look around, and then you went after them. And if somebody didn't go after them, as the manager, you're going after them. And after the pandemic, they kind of were just like, let the customer look. Like, it was no more of, we had like a it was like a name. I can't even remember. It was like an acronym of like what we had to say to them and stuff.
Right.
But then after they were just like, just let him look. We're like, I mean, cool.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But so it's just crazy.
I think it's, I think it's interesting. And I also think that and I want to hear your opinion on this, and then we're going to continue on your story.
Okay.
But I think since we're talking about the C word, COVID, it definitely changed the entire way people buy.
Yeah.
Entirely. And so I think, absolutely. I mean, pre-COVID, if you're working in stores, you were working in hospitality, you're working in retail, customer service was so important.
Mm-hmm.
I have really seen that fall to the wayside, but where I've seen it increase and we're doing a much better job is in the e-commerce space, is online.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, it doesn't matter if you're a big retailer or if you're entrepreneurs like us, and wherever you are in your journey, you're able to interact in a much more intimate way online. And I think that's been a huge thing for you, but what's your opinion about that?
Yeah, they've opened up a lot more of, I guess, customer service jobs online. A lot more people want to work from home. So you have people for those jobs, and you have a lot more people buying online in the first place. And so online returns, stuff like that, it's been a lot easier. And with, the companies I use, the apps I use for reselling, they're very seller, like they're great to the sellers. Like, so they're good to the purchasers too, but I think that the customer service, they've had to really up it because the demand for it has gone through the roof.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I think it's been, I like to see the positive and negative things, and we all know that was a difficult time, and we're still going through it, but it's changed the way we buy, it's changed the way we interact, it's changed the way customer service is, and it's changed people's lives. Like you mentioned as well, they want to be home. They want to be home, or they want flexibility, fill in the blank.
I think people realize they can still have the same quality of life and work from home. So a lot of these companies, a lot of like cyber jobs, stuff like that had not storefronts, but had office spaces. They're like, we don't need to foot the bill for this office space when literally you can do everything from home. So I think it increased the quality of life for a lot of people in that retrospect. Obviously, a lot of things happened from that.
Of course.
But I think a lot of companies just realized that they can do it from home.
It's less overhead and it's better quality of life for most people. And I agree with you. And I really like that perspective that you shared on that, because I think it really is. And I think that's why it's driven a lot of people, for when companies have been like, hey, you have to come back in the workplace, or you have to come back here, or when they did it a little too early, people like you working in a customer facing, business, that was scary for people. So it's kind of inspired entrepreneurship, and that's a part of your journey. So I want to go back to your journey now, because this is it's woven into your story. So you obviously graduated from school, you were working retail, you had great retail jobs, but you have a fabulous husband, and you, during COVID,
I got pregnant during COVID.
Where you going? Like, your beautiful son. Come on.
Well, we moved before COVID.
Yes.
We moved to, Washington State from Georgia. That was a huge move. And then
I know, I miss you so much.
and then COVID hit. So that was like a double whammy, like literally not even a full year after we moved here. But then I got pregnant. And so I was working in my retail job for a couple months while I was pregnant, but it was in a really bad area. It was more theft than shoppers. Let's just say that's how bad the area was.
These are the real challenges you go through, though.
Yeah.
This is what we're here to talk
and
about.
we were a pretty small store, so it was really rough, and it was hard to even go to work some days, because I'm like, I just know it's a Friday, like I have to close. It's going to be just like boom, 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 shoplifters. And then when I was pregnant, I had a shoplifter get extremely, like, he threatened me. And so I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm not doing this. So I just quit. And then I went back to like a like this gym that I had worked at just like for a little bit while I was pregnant, just to do something.
Well, I think this is, again, it's a part of your story, and I think you were getting a little antsy because it's the entrepreneur, and you were,
I never not
know
worked.
that. Yeah.
So
You are a worker, and you're like, I gotta go do and be.
yeah.
Then you had your beautiful son. But during that process, when did you start really doing the thrifting and looking at vintage? Because I remember you really getting into, and you still do this too, and we're going to talk about all of this, for doing furniture and flipping furniture.
Yeah, I was doing that for a little while. The only thing is we don't have a truck.
Yeah.
And I don't have a full garage. I have a carport. So the weather here in Washington is like,
I changed things.
I could literally only do the furniture flipping like 3 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was really strenuous, like on my body. And I have really bad scoliosis, especially after my son. So it was like just a no-go from there.
Refresh my memory though. Were you doing that before you had your son, and then after?
I had done it like for years, but not like seriously. But after my son came, I started doing it because it was, I'm seeing on social media all these girls paying off $75,000 of debt and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not used to sitting around. Not that I'm sitting around, but I'm not used to having like downtime. And so I wanted something to do. And it's also very creative. I loved painting growing up in college. So, and I still have. My whole house is mainly all pieces I've done.
It's amazing. Yes.
So
maybe we'll do a tour one time.
But it just was too strenuous. And it was also just too stressful. I felt a lot of stress to get pieces done on time. And then I felt like stressed to sell them. So it just wasn't worth it. And then I found, I would go to the thrift store to look for furniture to flip. And then I would just kind of mosey over to the clothing. So then I kind of I started seeing people doing that. And I was like, well, I'm already buying thrifted clothing that is nice. Like, why couldn't I sell it? So
I love that. Thanks for sharing the transition, because I think that's important for people, because on all of our entrepreneurial journeys, whether you haven't even started yet, as we say, right? Like you're just thinking about it. You've never even thought about it maybe, or you're well into your journey, that it's not always the first thing that you do.
Yes.
I mean, if the first thing you do is a success, like rock on. You nailed it. But that's an anomaly. It's not how it typically is. And so that's why I really love your story, because you're still, building your business, but I definitely feel like you found your niche, you know what I mean? Like what you're passionate about. And I think it's important, you didn't just say, oh, furniture flipping, I love it, I'm passionate about it, but no, like you kept following your passion and the creativity and what you love, and it led you to doing this as your business.
And one day I do hope to open a store. I would probably want it to be more vintage, which is, I'm very passionate about that.
Very much so.
But of course you can't not sell items that are going to sell for a lot of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's vintage or not. Yeah. So it's a business.
Definitely. So now you're here and you decide you want to kind of shift your focus and go into thrifting, like actually do this and roll your sleeves up. So how did you start? Because guys, I did not, I know I'm like Miss, entrepreneur, more than one business. I talk about this stuff all the time, but guys, I will tell you, she did all this on her own. Like, this is so cool. And this is why I was excited to get her as the co-host, because what a fun perspective you're going to bring to the show. And I'm just so excited to have you here, as you can tell.
Well, so what I did was I just started looking up just thrift stores around me. And of course, everybody knows Goodwill. Like, that's just, everybody knows Goodwill.
Yes.
And so then I started joining Facebook groups of like the specific apps I sell on. And they were just a lot of people, they share their hauls and whatever. And so that's how I learned brands, people sharing their like luxury hauls or whatever. And I'm still learning brands. I mean, there's new brands every day. So
absolutely.
But I just started researching cheaper ways to thrift. So like there's things called bins, so Goodwill bins, like stuff that doesn't sell at the Goodwill, they put there, or they get straight donations, and it's just by the pound. So that's even cheaper overhead than paying $5 for a shirt and then selling it for 30. Say, yeah, I'm paying 75 cents for a shirt and selling it for 30, which I'm not selling that low of items anymore, which at first I was like, okay, cool, I can sell this for $12, got it for 50 cents. I'm like, just trying to crank out anything I can, and I did really well with
I love that you said that. I love that you said that because I wanted to pause you there. I'm like, hang on, you have to start somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So I love that you said that. So that's where you started.
Yeah, I would pick up things like that I thought were okay brands, and they're still okay brands, but I didn't know that they're not going to resell for that much. So I did have to do some learning, like, okay, that's a good brand. If I like it for myself, I will get it, but I'm not going to resell it. So I've had to kind of learn with that, because I did end up with like storage totes, like tons and tons of storage totes of stuff I could not move because it was just not worth it. So I've had to learn, like, no, I'm not going to buy the whatever brand for $5 that I can resell for 20. That's not worth it. So I've had to learn, and especially going to like where you pay by the pound, I started going there every single weekend for like 6-7 hours every weekend. It was exhausting. You're like shifting through mounds of clothing. But it's crazy what people get rid of. So, and you're saving the environment.
I love it. It's sustainable, right? And you get some great finds. And let's face it, everything is coming back from the 90s.
It is.
So it's fabulous. Mm-hmm. Like, you have found so many amazing items for me. And every time I visit you, I'm like, can I get, like, why not tell me about this? You're not going to tell me about this blazer. You're not going to tell me about this shirt. And I think that's so cool. But yeah, I want to talk about your margin, because that's what you're talking about right now, is margin. So, if you guys are watching this, listening to this, and you're interested in doing any kind of retail business, this is what I love about your journey so much for you. And I love that journey.
I love that journey.
Yeah. Little Alexis Rose in here. I love it for you. But I really love the fact that it goes back to your retail roots. Mm-hmm. Love that. RR. Because it does. You learn about margins, you learn about those things, and then I love how you're sharing with us how you were like, okay, well, I was buying for $5, I was selling it for 20, or, XYZ. Mm-hmm. And those margins weren't phenomenal, right? And in retail, you can have some really great margins. Like, if you're hitting 70% margins, you're killing it. If you're hitting 80 to 90, you're killing it, right? Like, guys, if you shop like Shein and stuff like that, we're talking 90-something% margins there. So, but that, we could do a whole episode on that. But I love that you're sharing that, because I really do think that's helpful for anyone out there wanting to do anything. Even if you want to sell merch, like our fun merch, anything like that, you have to know your margin. You have to know if it's worth it. Like you said that perfectly.
Yeah. Well, anybody that wanted to start, I would just say, just go through your closet first. That's how I just started. I started years ago reselling on these apps, but I didn't know it was reselling. I was just selling clothes I didn't want in my house. And I was like, oh, wow, these are going so quickly, or like, because I was pricing them, first of all, way too low.
Part of your learning curve again.
Yeah. And I found out later on, when I joined all these Facebook groups and things like that, that people like me, resellers, they look at these inexperienced people's pages and they will buy from you and resell it, which that's too much work for me. I'm all about the chase. I want to go to the store and find it, so I don't understand that. And I get, like, some people, they don't have time, so they do have to do it online. I know girls that buy full pallets from Zara, and I'm like, where are you putting that pallet?
Right.
But some people don't have the time, so fortunately that's my stress reliever and my job. So
But that's amazing. Oh my God, I love that you just said this too. Okay, it's your stress reliever, but it's also your business. It's not just your job, it's your business, which you're building. And I think anybody thinking about going into any kind of business or entrepreneurship, like,
you have to love it.
You have to love it. That's why it goes back to our retail roots. It's so interesting, because this whole brand, everything I do and everything we're going to continue to do Goes back to my retail roots too.
Yeah.
I was always in management. I was always obsessed with leadership and empowering women. You know that. It's like my passion. So, but you'll get to flip the script on me next time. You can ask anything you want. This is all about Lily today. But I love that though, because I think that's how you got to be careful with the word should, because it sets up expectations, right? And you're not going to love every single aspect. I want to dive into this and get your opinion on this too, as we walk through your journey. Laugh through the journey too. I love that journey for you. But no, I think it's really important that you love what you do, but you're not going to love every aspect.
No.
So how, like, in my opinion, I think when you love it so much, the passion overcomes like any of the little things that you had to do. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of tedious tasks that, you know, you're going to get into.
Yeah.
Tell us. But in your opinion, don't you think the passion and the love that you have?
Yeah, and especially I get that sale. I'm like, okay, that was worth spending like an hour writing a description, which I would never write an hour-long description. That's a waste of time.
But in the beginning, it took you time to do things like that. You're more efficient now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, yes.
Yes, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it when I look back at all the jobs I was going to, and at the end, of course, at the beginning of jobs, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm amazing. I'm excited to be here. You don't know anything about the dynamic of the team, all that. So you're like, this is going to be amazing. And then by the end of your journey at that job, you're like, get me out of here. So I think I would take what I do now over any of what I did before.
But I love that you are in gratitude for what you did. I think that's not to get too woo-woo on you guys today. But I really do believe in gratitude, and I really like that about your journey as well, because I think back on those store days too, and I love that you shared about almost being attacked in a store.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that happened to me too, and I'm like, there's so many parallels in our story, which is really cool because we're sisters. But you have your own journey, but those are those moments you look back on and you're like, oh my God, like like you think you have so many different thoughts about those things, but at the end of the day, you're like, it was worth it because now I'm here in this part of my journey.
Yeah. And the best part is if we move, which we're going to move in like a year,
right?
It comes with me.
Right.
You know, I don't have to worry about finding a job. I don't have to worry about, you know, what I'm going to do next. Nope, this is coming with me. I just changed my address on the thing, you know? Yeah. So
absolutely.
That's the best part.
Yeah. And you can continue to grow it. And yes, no, Lily doesn't just like to pick up and move. She's married to someone in the military. So that's why she's left me. Yes. No, so I love that. And I want to ask you a couple questions now, because we know where you are in your journey, and we're going to talk about where to find you and your shop and everything. Of course, she'll be with me, guys. So, you know, you can always find her stuff, and we're going to grow in our entrepreneurial journey together and talk to incredible women. And I'm excited for that. But I want to hear about like the roll up the sleeve hard parts right now, because this is the stuff that I think really helps people. So share your opinion on a couple things with me.
Okay.
So your challenges when you were first starting out, you've already shared with us, right? Finding the right things. Not like, I love what you said when you were like, I was buying for myself, because that would be me if I was doing this. I wouldn't be buying for myself.
I still do.
Yeah. But now you understand what the customer wants, which, again, going back to your roots, I love it, your retail roots. You understand what the customer wants, and you understand what you want. And that might not always align. And so you know how to identify that. So that was an early challenge. Walk us through, in your opinion, the other challenges of shifting from the other businesses you were doing, having a job, in retail. Walk us through what challenges you go through now, like acquiring customers, getting your brand out there. I mean, is it shipping? I don't know. To walk us through, this is the stuff I like to hear about.
And how you know part has been productivity, because when you're at work, you go to work, you're clocking in, you know that, okay, I'm going to be here X amount of hours, and I have this list. Normally in retail management, you have like your daily, this is what you're going to do if you have a store set, whatever. But when you own your own business, you have to be your motivation. You have to be your productivity manager. You have to keep yourself in check. And for me, it was really hard because I also had my son was like 9 months old when I started this. So I also had to work around his schedule and my husband's schedule, who he got deployed for a couple months when I first started. So it was really hard. So I've just had to find, and I still to this day, I get really, sometimes just, it's fall. I'm sad. I don't want to spend 5 hours tonight after I just spent 2 hours putting my son to bed.
Yeah.
Working. So I have to really keep myself in check with productivity. And at first that was hard because I would just burn myself out. I would go. And then the next week I would be like, I don't feel like doing this. And so I questioned it a lot, whether I wanted to keep going because it was really hard. And I think people are like, oh, you're just reselling stuff. Like, whatever, it's nothing.
This is
it's a lot. And
you're building a business.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, my husband's been great. He's made me spreadsheets on when I sell something, I put in how much I sold it for and then how much I actually made off it. And
so he helps you with your margins.
Yes. He like created me my own specific app, which I'm like, I don't even know how you did that. Thank you. So it's just easy. I just hit like buy or sell and I just input it. Like it's so simple. But then on his end, it's like, I don't even know what's happening. So
I'm learning about this. I didn't even know about this. Yes. And I've been here for like almost a week now. I was like, wait, what? That is so cool. I did not know that he did that for you. See, going back to what we talked about earlier, so important to have a supportive spouse.
Yeah. Because there's just some things that either you're going to have to outsource and pay for, or you're going to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Or, I mean, I guess if you know how to do it, but that's a lot of work. I know people that resell and they have full-time jobs and this is their part-time job. So they do outsource a lot of their stuff to people to make content a lot of the times is what I see. But fortunately I have, he helps me a lot.
You've got your own outsourced help at home, which is fabulous. And I know people that have that kind of support and I think it's really wonderful. And I see you brought up a great topic, outsourcing, and I want to talk about this because I do see a lot of people that need to do that. And I do it, guys. I do it. There's no way I could have built more than one business without outsourcing. Like the first one, oh honey, same thing. Like it was all me, But I love that you're at the point where you're needing that support and like you've got your partner to support you, your husband. And I think that's really, really cool. Tell me a little bit about your opinion, though, about outsourcing. Like, when do you know or when do you feel like in your journey it's time to start handing over the reins? Because I think this is a real big problem for a lot of entrepreneurs because this is your baby. I've literally had this conversation with actually your husband.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law. But I think it's really hard. I love having this conversation because it's your baby. It's your name, especially with your first business, not even the first one, but the one that you first see like chug a lug, like your movement. Yes. You're like, oh, this is real. I'm making money. Like this is legit. But that's the one that you have to let go of the reins and outsource.
Yeah, I think
so. In your opinion, how do you do that?
I think it's when you're getting overwhelmed. I mean, at first you're going to be overwhelmed all the time. That's just the reality.
Agreed.
But I think that when you start getting overwhelmed, you have too much going on and you're trying to do things that you don't know how to do or you're not doing well. I know people that outsource their photos for reselling because they're like, my photos are awful or I don't have time to do the photos.
Sure.
So I think when either time becomes a problem or you finally realize, look, this person can do it better than me and I can just pay them a little bit and it's going to save me a ton of time and mental anguish thinking about when you're going to do it and how bad it's going to look. I think that's when you need to outsource because it's going to pay off in the end.
Love it. It's the only way you're going to grow.
Yeah, it's the only way you're going to grow.
That's my opinion on it too. And I think,
and I'm struggling with that now because
that's why I want to talk about. Yeah.
Because there's certain things I need to probably outsource, like taking photos and stuff, just the space. I don't have the space right now to take like amazing photos, and I know that, but I guess I just justify it to myself as I'm still selling the items and I'm not having any issues. Mm-hmm. So I think for now I'm just gonna keep doing it, but I am getting overwhelmed with my back stock and
that's why I wanted to ask you about this. And I appreciate you being so vulnerable and honest, because you're at a turning point in your journey where you know what your customer wants, you know what to get, you know your margins, but you're growing. So it's like, okay, what part do I hand the reins over?
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation a little bit, but I put it on pause just so we could really talk to you guys about it, because I think it's important to be vulnerable and share this part of the journey. And I think you're right. You're always going to feel overwhelmed. But when it gets to the point where you're like,
I can't do the work because of this,
and it's precluding me from growing, that's when you are like, okay, that's the moment. And I think that can be a hard moment in the journey, but I do feel like that's where you
will give up. I think that, there was one point where I was just like, oh, I don't know. I haven't really, thrifted in a while. I haven't really uploaded anything. I'm not making a ton of sales. Maybe I should give up. And, my husband's just like, Lily, listen to what you just said. Those are all 3 correlated. He's like, just go thrifting, just upload. You will get the sales. And that's 100% how that works. So you just have to kind of get out of that mental game of, this is not working. I'm failing.
Love it. I absolutely agree. And I think you bring up a great point too. Again, another great example of a supportive, partner. Again, I think it's important. I have to bring that up a lot because it just makes a difference, But I agree with you. I think you're going to want to quit 5 million times.
Yeah.
But don't. Because that 5 million in one time, you're going to be like, thank God. And then everything really starts to fall into place. But you're always going to be growing when you're on this journey. And so I really love what you said, though. Again, your vulnerability, I always appreciate. But saying I wanted to give up, he pushed me, he inspired me to kind of get back into myself, because no one can make you do anything.
No.
You said that so perfectly towards the beginning of the episode. No one's, or I guess maybe later, but no one's getting you out of bed. No one's calling you. No one's going to be like, Lily, you should have been here at 1 o'clock for your shift. Where are you? No, you have to do that. And I do agree with you when we were talking about challenges. That is a challenge when you're talking about productivity and looking at your day. And I think a lot of moms will connect with you too, because I'm not a mom yet, but I see your life and I'm just so blown away by the fact that you're able to balance that. I'm like, oh my gosh, because young children are a lot. Children in general are a lot, but when you're in the early days, like you are, wow. So I think it's really, really important that you do have someone supporting you, but you also brought up the point of it's okay to feel like I want to quit.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah.
But I also want to get your opinion on the fact that you kind of just let yourself breathe for a little bit. And instead of quitting, you took a breath and you were still selling stuff, though. You were like, I just wasn't selling as much. I want to get your opinion on this, but my opinion is I think it's really important for entrepreneurs, because I do the same thing. I go. You've watched me do this for a long time, and I burn myself out. So allowing yourself to say, you know what, maybe I won't sell as much this week. Maybe I will have a day where I watch whatever I want to watch on Netflix or whatever, right? What's your opinion on that? I feel like some people feel like they would lose momentum, but if you don't plug yourself back in or recharge yourself, as I like to say, I've learned the hard way. So,
well, that's my opinion too, because I burn myself out. Whether it's, it doesn't necessarily have to be business, but whether it's cleaning, I don't know, trying to get everything done in one day, I do tend to just kind of burn myself out. And my husband always tells me, he's like, Lily, it doesn't need to get done in one day. Take it bit by bit. But I'm not that type of person. I'm like, this needs to get done. This needs to get done now.
We have the same DNA. I know we're not that person. Yeah.
So yeah, you have to let yourself breathe, especially when you can't clock out and go home. Unless you have, which I would love to have a shop one day, unless you do, but then you still have another challenge. You have to worry about the shop at night and so things like that. But it's hard. You just have to check out, and I have to let myself say, okay, I'm tired this weekend. I'm not going to spend 6 hours at the thrift store. Or sometimes my husband and my son will come with me. And when they do come, I know that's going to be an hour trip, because I have a toddler and he gets bored really fast. But, my husband likes to look at some vintage stuff occasionally, and he's resold stuff too. But just for fun. So if it's a weekend where I'm tired, I'll just say, hey, why don't you guys come? Because then at least I feel like I still got out and I still found something. Sometimes I find even more in an hour than I do in 6 hours alone. So it's just, you just kind of have to find a balance of not burning yourself out. And whether that be you do just buy a pallet online. I don't have the space for that, or I would. But
I'm sensing this is where you might be going in the future with more space, but
yes, I would like to.
We will continue on your journey with you because, I'm excited for you. But I think that's why I wanted to bring this up, because for me, this is still a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a decade older than you, and I still struggle with this. I feel like, and you watch me do it, and you're like, you say the things that your husband says to you to me. Like, it's okay, Maya. It's okay to have a day, where you Netflix and chill. It's okay for you to just go out and completely unplug. I think what happens is that this is our business, our baby, our businesses, wherever you are in your journey. And it's the same thing as letting go a little bit to outsource. We feel like if we stop, the business stops.
Yeah, and so that is true. I mean, in some ways that is true. Mm-hmm. So I do outsource things like setting offers, things like that. I have an app for that. So I do pay for that. So I outsource in that retrospect, because I was sometimes spending all day just refreshing, sending offers, refreshing. And I was like, look, it pays to I pay like $50 a month or whatever I pay. And I'm like, then I don't have to be on my phone all day while my son's awake or, we're doing something. And I get like an offer and I immediately have to look at my phone, so it's hard to check out, but in some ways it does hinder you a little bit, but it's not going to ruin you in the end. So
I love that. It's not going to, it might hinder you a little, but it's not going to, it's not going to keep you
from not the end of the world. Yeah.
The end of the world. It's not going to keep you from having a successful business. I actually think that when I do take a day to completely just check out, because let's face it, if this is the journey for you and you want to build a business, whatever it is, if you want to do anything in building a business, you're going to have to recharge, but you have to be in the business, and you're probably not, you're not going to have your 9 to 5 clock in and out. You're not going to, that's not how it's going to work. It's not, but it's okay to take a day, because for me, sometimes it feels like sometimes I have to fall back a little bit to spring forward. Do you have
you have to be your best self. And if you're not recharging yourself, then you're going to burn out, and you're just, you might even give up. So you have to take that time for yourself or your family, whatever that is. A lot of times it's for yourself, sit in bed, watch some TV, whatever.
It should be both, right? Yeah. It's about balancing, and that's something that we're going to continue to talk about here on the show, because balancing your family and work is very different when you're running your own business.
Yeah. Well, very different. Something's going to give. So you have to recharge and collect yourself, because you can't be everything to everyone, including your business. So
I love it. And quote her on that one too. You can't be everything to everyone, including your business, which, thank you for sharing your example of outsourcing, which you're already starting to do, because I think it starts with little things like that. What is a time thief? What is taking a lot of my time?
Oh gosh, it was taking so much of my time.
I can't imagine. The volume that you were selling at? I can't even imagine. Because, I also resell, guys. Not professionally. She has inspired me to sell my closet. So that's where, I started. This is not a business I'm looking to do, but she's the one that has inspired me to do that. And I think, and that's really what, and I love that your husband actually resold some stuff, because that, I think, is what gives you insight as well. And I think that's why it's not a big deal. And and I think you should do this in the beginning when you're growing your business, to do everything.
Yeah.
Because then you know what you love, what you hate, what you're good at.
I also know what those items are worth, time and money wise, because you're not going to pay someone, a huge amount of money for something that only took you a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And if someone's trying to cheat you out and be like, no, that's going to take me forever. And you're like, well, no, that only took me this amount of time, and I didn't really even know what I was doing. So it's helpful to do everything. Then you at least know what it's worth.
I love that too, because I actually don't know if I ever consciously thought about it like that.
Yeah.
but I do that. I'm like, okay, I know what it takes to edit a podcast. I know what it takes to like all these things that I have outsourced now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, wait a second. Now that takes 5 minutes, guys. That's not a 2-hour job. Or sometimes I've had the opposite happen too. And I have, if you want to be a good partner to your outsourcing, if it's a person you're outsourcing to. So I think that's a really good point. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Like, is it important to do every aspect? In my opinion, it is.
Yeah, in my opinion, it is too. Yeah.
You got to know it. Like, that's
got to work from the ground up.
Yes, even in your own business, right? Work from the ground up, even in your own business. And the amazing thing is, as you grow, the people that come on board with you in any capacity, outsourcing, whatever it is, have such respect for you, from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I've only dealt with apps so far, so I don't know.
Well, you've also dealt with your partner, right? Yes. And I think it's really interesting, again, I bring this up again, that he kind of, dabbled in it a little bit. But I think it was mostly to understand what you're doing, mm-hmm. which I think is really cool. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing. Told us a little bit, but tell us a little bit more to kind of wrap us up. And then we're going to talk about where to find you and what's next for you.
Well, I am still chugging away at the bins, catch me on the weekends. No, just kidding.
Catch me for a mimosa afterwards.
No, I mean, I'm basically doing the same things I was. I'm just doing them more diligently and like faster. I can look for things faster. I can identify fabric. It's so crazy. I can identify like fabric now, like luxury fabrics. Like logos, I can see them from like across the store. But before I was not able, like, I would feel jeans. I'd be like, yeah, these are nice jeans. But now I'm like, okay, like even before I see the label when I'm pulling through, I'm like, okay, these jeans, and I find the label. I'm like, yep, I knew that was that brand. So it's just crazy the things you learn when you're doing something, especially with your hands. When you're doing something tactile, it's like you learn so fast. So like I'm learning like new fabrics I've never felt before, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just learning every day with what I'm, with my business and
growing it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I think, I just, you're back in your passion again too. So that's really cool, and to be learning about, and you're young. So of course you can see it all the way across the store. I would never be able to catch it all the way across the store, but I think that's fabulous. Like that's really, I'm just so excited for you as you grow this. So tell us right now where we can find you. You're on social, you have your storefront. Tell us about that.
So I'm on Instagram. I'm Upcycled by Lils, all lowercase. I haven't posted in forever, so don't at me on that. I'm going to get on that immediately. And then I'm the same thing on Poshmark. I'm Upcycled by Lils, and I got to get some new stuff posted on there too. So watch out for that.
Yes. She is very humble. She has a lot of new stuff all the time. It's really exciting, and it's just growing. Like, I'm literally so excited to be here watching you do this. Like, I'm physically watching her do it. It's really cool. So, and we'll also have the link to your site on MaYapinionPodcast.com, so you can shop right through our site. So that's the exciting part about her being here too. I can't wait to continue to go on this journey with you.
No, me too.
Thanks for sharing with us today. Is there anything else about your entrepreneurial journey or yourself that you want to share today, all in your opinion?
All in my opinion?
Yeah.
I guess I could say my opinion on reselling if you want to get into it. I think especially as a military spouse, I wish that more military spouses would know about it, because I think so many military spouses either quit jobs, decide not to have jobs because we're moving so much. We've been fortunate, and we've only been 2 places, especially because COVID, we had to stay. So I really hope women that don't think they can do jobs because they have kids listen to this, and they realize you don't need a lot. I have a guest room with no space. I take pictures on my guest bed with a sheet, and you can make something out of nothing for your family. I mean, I've paid off our car. I've paid off some of our credit cards. So, and that's just on top of being able to help monthly. So for me, I would love military spouses to get into this. And I do know a couple, even in my neighborhood, or not necessarily my neighborhood, but around me, that do it.
Yeah.
And so I wish we would all uplift each other and show. I don't want too many people to do it, because then everybody would mention me again. But I think it's important for people to know that there are all these options that don't require you to go to a 9-to-5 job just to help your family.
I agree. And I think it's so, and we're going to get that message out there. We're going to, we're going to talk about it. But I think just hearing your story, people can learn so much and be inspired to keep pushing and keep going. And you give us a young, fresh perspective, because I'm not as young anymore, so a little further along in life and this journey. And I really love your perspective that you're bringing to the show about starting, something out of your own home with a kid. Your husband, you guys travel around. You're going to move again. That's on the forefront. It's happening. And you went back to your passion. But I think a great takeaway from this and your story as well is sometimes it doesn't look the way that we think it's going to.
Of course, yeah.
But it ends up even better.
Yeah. I did not know this is where this was going to take me. I just started reselling because I would thrift items and they didn't fit me. Or, I thrifted or I resold what was in my closet. So it starts small, but it can get big and you can get passionate about it fast.
Yeah. And I think that's the key part of your story too, is you are in your passion. You are in what you love. It just doesn't look the same, back to kind of the beginning of this whole conversation to close this out. We think we have to go to school, we have to do this, we have to accomplish all these milestones of certain things. That really keeps us, I think, and holds us back in some ways. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. Like you said, I love that. But, really think about what lights you up and what's going to keep you going. And this really does. And I'm so excited for you. And now you've got this and we're excited. So as we close, tell us what you're most excited about for being on the show. Like, this is a surprise for everybody that you're being on the show. So surprise, she's here. But what are you most excited about sharing? I mean, obviously you have an incredible story, but what are you excited about?
I'm just excited to, get my journey, which is a lot of people's journey, out there and hopefully open some men, maybe, I don't know, women, open their mind to, if they're going somewhere they hate and they don't know if they can do anything else, but they have a passion for I'm not necessarily just saying reselling, but anything, you can do it. It doesn't take a lot for you to try something new.
I love it. Yeah. And I think it's really the message of your story. You don't have to be, if you have a spouse that travels, which a lot of people do, and they move, military is one of many examples where you pick up and move. And I think this is really inspirational. And it's our goal here to inspire women to be independent, because it's okay and it's wonderful. And it's obviously a goal for most people to have a supportive and incredible partner. But the reality is, I say this all the time, this is one of my mega opinions, financial independence is completely like a must for women. Like, I always say it's imperative, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You can have the most amazing person in the world that you're with, but things can happen to people, right? And you don't want to look at things in a dark way, but the reality is having that is amazing, because you also, on the positive side of it, you have an outlet for your creativity, your passion, whatever you're into. If you're into other things, obviously other businesses, like you said so perfectly. So I think that's a great message, and we're going to continue to talk about it here. And next time, you're going to flip the script and you're going to ask me anything you want. And I'll kind of reintroduce myself to you guys, and we'll have a really fun episode. But Lil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be really fun. We're so excited. We're excited to go on this journey with you guys. You can click the links in the show notes to find Lily. Come to the website. Check it out. It's going to be refreshed, updated. New merch from us right here. And of course, most importantly, with this episode, you can shop Lily's store and all her finds. And you can also reach out to her directly if you have special requests.
Yeah. I'm always down to shop for you directly too.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. Welcome.
Yay.
And thank you guys so much for listening and watching the MaYapinion Podcast. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the MaYapinion Podcast. Make sure to follow us on all major social media platforms at MaYapinion Podcast. And don't forget to follow Lily at
Upcycled by Lils on Poshmark, TikTok, and Instagram. And don't forget to follow Maya
at Maya Roffler on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
We'll see you back here next time.